You heard of this guy, Semi?
No, I've not.
Okay, so I encountered this guy, Semi, from Polymarket's excellent newsletter, The Oracle. And I know you read some of these because you send me them all the time. So they profiled Semi a couple months ago, earlier in the summer. And they started this profile by saying, Semi deposited $286 on Polymarket in June 2024. Since then, this reclusive trader who uses a default Discord profile picture and has just 215 followers on X ran his P&L up over $1 million. If we check in on Semi's P&L now,
Wow.
sorry, is that Semi? We'll check on the profile that they're actually linking us to. Yeah, at the moment, their all-time P&L is a little over 400K, but their position size alone is over $1 million. So
Yeah.
certainly, I think this person qualifies as a Polymarket whale. An excellent little profile in the Oracle. And when they touch on, walk me through your strategy, the sort of TLDR of Semi's strategy is he kind of gets at it here. In most areas, if you just reverse stupidity, you're not necessarily smart. But in betting, if you're reversing stupidity, you kind of are becoming smart, which I think is a hilarious way to describe what kind of winds up being Semi's strategy. And it's a strategy that I think is being discussed a little more in prediction market circles right now, which is to say that there's a sensationalism bias toward dramatic headlines. Such that people kind of overprescribe the likelihood of a thing happening, and that there is a sort of just strong bias, call it a betting bias or call it a sensationalism bias. And Semi's strategy of reversing stupidity is basically to take the opposite side of those trades that feel overbought for the likelihood of a yes.
Mhm.
So I'll just touch on a couple other areas where I've sort of seen this discussed. One is a Twitter article by this user, Fabiano.Sol. And Fabiano.Sol at the very end, the whole article is well worth the read. But at the very end, one of the strategies that they touch on is they say retail tends to overbet on wishful outcomes. So there
Yep.
it is again, wishful outcomes. Fading retail sentiment, especially when odds get skewed by emotion, can give you an edge. Indeed, only 22% of markets resolve as yes. A good strategy can be buying no early in a 90-10 market, because odds often shift to 95.5 over time as people who originally bet on a sensational, wishful outcome start cashing out at a loss, and that's when your no position gains value. So this is one example, I think, of a trade strategy that relies on sort of correcting the sensationalism bias. And the most interesting conversations of this, I think, have pointed to this excellent Dune Dash. I'm sure
Oh,
you've seen.
yep. I've seen this. Yeah. Exploring it.
Yeah, an excellent Dune Dash that talks about how accurate is Polymarket and kind of looks at the likelihood that markets resolve the way that the market is predicting at different time intervals. But the author of this Dune Dash, Alex McCullough, shares down in the Dune here a few potential causes of bias in prediction markets, including acquiescence bias. People tend to answer yes more frequently when uncertain. This may lead Polymarket users to subconsciously revert to yes bets rather than no bets, as there is less mental friction. Herd mentality, when a market is trending positively in the direction that a participant wants. Low liquidity, and degen theory, aka mispricing of risk. Alex writes, my personal hunch is that the space is full of degens who are more interested in long odds with potentially bigger returns rather than a small return that is closer to a sure thing.
I think you can measure that. It's actually this other so degen theory, like mispricing of risk, you could probably look at with Dune how many users are one, the majority of their purchases are yes, and two, at what odds are they purchasing at? You'd have to have some heuristic or threshold that you set of what you'd consider to be degen, right? Maybe anything below 20%. And you could actually probably see the population of those users on any given day. And I would actually be interested in seeing if over time, as adoption increase, that goes up or if that
Right.
goes down. Yeah. Sorry, I just got
Totally.
really excited about that. That's a really good theory.
Yeah, it's a very good idea. It's a good piece of homework probably for us to look at.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I think as I look at this closer too, it's actually this degen bias sort of would cancel out or otherwise respond to this kind of sensationalism bias or the acquiescence bias, as Alex is calling it,
Mm-hmm.
where um, if we're assuming that people are overbuying the yes, but a yes is trading at, let's say, 90 cents, actually the degen bias would be people kind of looking for the asymmetric return and buying the 10-cent side of that, the sort of better's bias. um, could kind of correct some of these markets that are inappropriately priced toward yes, back into kind of no territory, right? Do I have that right?
I think so. Yeah.
Um, and where the last bit that I saw that kind of pointed to just a similar conversation was, this Twitter user, Andrew Lenardi, who has a sort of series of tweets the past couple of weeks on his just bet no strategy. So he's actually been kind of like living this out and saying trades are overall profitable. Here's his winning no trades, no for US Civil War in 2025, no for Gavin Newsom launching a token in September. Is that true?
It's
I thought he did launch a token in September,
I
or he
don't
talked.
know.
No, for just a number of other markets. And so I mean, this person even asks, do you pick markets you have a personal bias for? No. And he
That's
says,
interesting.
I tend to try and dismiss any bias of the result. My main bet is that there is a short-term overestimation of yes, and that you could just buy the entire market index of all markets, and all you're doing is betting on no's.
That's very
Uh,
interesting. Part of me makes me think like, does that? I mean, I haven't thought this through, but like, does that mean that the market, if most markets are resolving to no, does that mean these aren't good markets? Like, is there more room for better market? Like, do we like? Is it
hmm.
expected that there should be a 50-50 split between markets that resolve to yes or no, or is this just how like events take place? Like, I wanna know what like the ideal situation is, if there even is one, but something that I'll probably think about more after this.
Yeah, I mean, this probably tells us like something about society, right? Like the idea, I think, being a lot of markets that are stood up on call sheet and poly market tend to be things that are in the news or events that are being speculated on. In
Hmm.
some sense, though, the current like default position is that the thing has not happened and
Hmm.
is unlikely to happen unless there is some trigger, like an election, of course, is a trigger where something has to happen. Um, but taking the no is sort of
It's
yeah, I mean, I
admitting
think
that
it's
reality.
also that, yeah, we're over sensationalizing things, and most maybe of what would be discussed or assessed kind of, by cultural commentators is just not going to happen. Or
Yeah.
that there's so many alternatives. I don't know. I don't have a good
That's
framework for
actually
thinking.
no, I like that a lot because it's kind of like maybe most of the questions that humans ask, like especially when it comes to forecasting, is that it's just not going to happen, and that's kind of what you were just describing. But like, yeah, so I guess the next time we're panicking and thinking, is the world's going to end? It's like probably no, um, or any of these other major events. So yeah, really interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you've encountered the nothing ever happens kind of like meme,
Oh
but
yeah, we got to pull that up.
I'm seeing this all over the place now. Um,
Nothing ever happens.
There's even a
The
nothing ever
poly.
happened. There's a poly market. Here's a tweet. I have no idea what the nothing ever happens meme means or is meant to refer to. Things clearly do happen. It is supposed to refer to the times when something big looks like it may happen and it ends up being a nothing burger. And I do think, for those of us who follow like the news and the culture closely, this is just true. People seem to
Yeah,
get really worked up about a thing, and then more often than not, kind of nothing ever happens, right?
very interesting.
Certainly more we can look at in terms of like, insights to be made, I think, from this
Hmm.
accuracy dashboard. I thought that was pretty fantastic.
Yeah.
Uh,
What was
let's
that dashboard author's name? Shout out to them. Alex
Yeah,
McCullough.
Alex McCullough.
Shout out. Great dashboard.
Yeah, I need to dig even deeper into this. Let's get Alex on the pod. Yeah.
Let's get Alex on the pod.
Get Alex on the pod.